Did you try to start your snowblower and have this happen to you? Here's how to fix it. Hey guys and gals, welcome to Garage Gear. I'm JB. If you have a Cub Cadet, Craftsman, MTD, or any other similar style snowblower engine, these procedures should help you out. First step, our pull rope is busted and wound up inside here, so we gotta remove this recoil. We have 1, 2, 3 bolts holding this on. We gotta take them out. I'm using a 5/16 socket. Let's get them out. And off comes our recoil. And help this video take off with the YouTube algorithm, would you mind hitting that like button? Thank you. Here's our pull handle, and look at that rope, shredded. We're gonna pull this right out, just like that. Set that aside. And here's our recoil, which is awfully big, and look at this thing. This rope is just absolutely annihilated. Jeez, starting to look like a dog's chew toy. From here, we're just gonna take this rope all the way out, just like so. You can see it still has some spring to it. That's good. The spring hasn't broken. We're gonna remove the rope. Just so we're clear here, this rope is not reusable. We got some new rope we're gonna install. What I'm gonna do here is reach for my knot, and I'm just gonna pull this all the way out. Just like that. I'm gonna set this rope aside because I'm gonna need to measure it later. Now you can see that the spring inside here is still good. And what I typically do when I wind these up is wind them up about 3 to 5 times. Every recoil is a little different. Some are 3, some are 5. I'm just gonna wind this up about 5 times. So what I'm gonna do is start with this sticker. That's where my knot hole is, and that's where my spout hole is for the string. I'm gonna line these right up right here. You can see the hole and the hole. We're lined up. From here, we're gonna count them out. That's 1, 2, that's 3, that's 4, and that is 5. This thing is spring loaded right now. Notice I'm holding it tight with my hands. What I'm gonna do here is take a screwdriver and just wedge this into a spot that's gonna hold it in place, just like that. It's not going anywhere. That'll hold it right where I need it to be. My holes are still lined up here, so we're good. Now what I've done over here is I've laid out my rope, and I have approximately 80 inches. Now some of this rope has been stretched out, and we have knots on each of our ends, so I'm gonna ballpark this right around 80 inches. And over here, I have my True Blue heavy duty commercial grade starter rope. This is number 5 rope, and it's 5/32 in diameter. This spool of rope is just a tiny bit thinner than the original rope that came on the snowblower, but in my experience, this will be just fine. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure out about 80 inches. I'm gonna put a weight on this end, and we're just gonna spool it on down to this side. Perfect. From here, I'm just gonna measure it up, cut it right off. There's your 80. Our next step is taking our ends and hardening them up. So here I have this end, and this one I previously did a while back. It's nice and solid and it won't continue to fray. This end is all chewed up from the scissors just after one cut, and it's already starting to fray. So what I'm gonna do is melt it. I have my trusty Burns-O-Matic torch here. Let's light them up. Hit it quick, just like that. And then pull it with your fingers nice and fast. This is hot, so you gotta be careful, just like that. Perfect. Nice and quick and rock hard. Now restringing this is actually quite simple. If we look through our hole here, we can actually see the light of day going all the way through, and that's gonna line us up with our hole like we mentioned before. I'm gonna take my line and I'm gonna feed it through, and you can kind of see it's punching through, and there it is. I'm gonna grab that line, pull it out, and from here, I'm just gonna give it a nice thick double knot. We don't want this thing coming out at all. Pinch that down, just like that. Do it again, feed it through. Perfect, that'll do. Now, if you really wanna clamp down on that knot and make sure that it's not coming free, well, what you can do is take your vise. Hello, Mr. Wilton. We're gonna clamp you down tight. That should do. And give it a little pull. Yep, we're good. That is not coming undone. And from here, I'm just gonna take that rope and pull it all the way through, just like that. We're gonna lock it right into its place, right there. She ain't going nowhere. Now at this point, I got my recoil all set, and I got all my rope. I'm gonna take my rope now and feed it through into my handle. Stick it up, pull it through. Now the hole on this end is just a little bit smaller, so what I'm gonna do is just tie a simple 1 knot and pull it tight. Same thing here, I like to get it in the vise, clamp it down tight, pull it, Good. That'll do. Now, if we're lucky, we can pull this through, and this hole on this side is a little bit bigger. The knot should rest right inside there, but it's definitely not coming through that hole. So let's see, does it work? Sure does. Look at that. Vanished. Nice and tight. Not going anywhere. Now, the moment of truth. We're gonna remove our screwdriver and we're gonna just slowly wind this back in. You can see it's doing all the work, just like that. We are good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Check that out. Goes right in. Perfect. One last thing that I like to do, this is garage gear. We like to lubricate everything around here. We're gonna reach for our good old friend WD-40 and we're gonna spray inside here and lubricate these arms or dogs that stick out and keep everything lubricated as well as that spring deep down. Spray the top first, let that work its way down. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna twist it to the side, open it up a little bit, hose it. If it starts dripping, that's okay. Then you know you got the spring inside really good. Give it a few pulls. It'll work it into that spring, and you can see those arms that stick right out. Pull it tight and retract it in. This recoil is now ready to go. Okay, pretty straightforward here. It should just pop right back on. Check that out. Oh yeah, she works. Well, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go put this recoil to the test. How about that? That recoil worked perfectly fine and retracted right back in. Now here's a few other tips and tricks to help you out with this procedure. In my experience, many of these recoils all pretty much function in the same way. And these are general practices that work for most engine starter recoils. Sometimes you may have to get a little creative on how you thread the rope in, but your model may vary. And speaking of rope, I bought this True Blue rope years ago and have used this on countless mowers, generators, snow blowers, you name it. I've put it on it. It's super strong and I'll have this link down below in the description. Now, some out there may say, just use the electric start. Yes, you could do that, but let's say I'm all the way down there and I have to turn the unit off and I'm far away from my garage. Once it's off, it's off. Then I'll just have to push it all the way back into the garage, plug it back in just to restart it. That can become a royal pain. Not to mention, I've seen some of these electric starters over a number of years start to fail, and these can cost a pretty penny to replace. So it's to your advantage to make sure that your electric starter and your pull starter are both working during the winter months. I've got lots of little things to do on this snowblower to get it up to speed, including changing the oil and adjusting the skids, and I'll have videos on all those procedures linked down below in the description. For more cool garage gear content, click or tap the screen right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.